It's now 198,877 miles. It's been approximately 30 to 40 miles since we have driven the vehicle after replacing the oxygen sensor. We have established another check engine light. Now when we take a look at our scan tool to see what codes are in there, let's take a look at the scan tool to see the codes that are stored in the ECU. Even though we have replaced the oxygen sensor with a factory OEM sensor that is a genuine Nissan sensor, we're still establishing a DTC code that is a Diagnostic Troubleshoot code of P0132. This is a freeze frame of where that code occurs. I'm going to talk about that later on. We also have P0152, P0328. This is a code that occur or started at approximately 97,000 miles 12 years ago. We have been trying to get rid of this code, and most likely it's linked to the oxygen sensor, mass airflow sensor, or distributor. Let's take a look at another code. That's P0300. That's a random cylinder misfire. This is most likely caused by the oxygen sensor in bank 1, that's sensor 1, or the mass airflow sensor, possibly the distributor. Now the code is P1163. So that's another oxygen sensor code. And we are back into our freeze frame, which will give us a repeat of the codes that we have just mentioned. Now it's time for us to strategically find where this problem is with the ECU, so the problem can be fixed, or the issue can be fixed. We will now erase the code from the ECU. The ignition key must remain on to do so without the engine running. Now we will take a look at restarting the vehicle to make sure that check engine light is gone. Also, the codes are gone. Here we have 3 mass airflow sensor, identical but different in frequency. When you take a look at the part number, for replacement, this here is the original mass airflow sensor that was equipped with the vehicle, and it was removed at approximately 140,000 miles due to malfunction with the vehicle. But at this time, understanding has been gained that the malfunction with the vehicle was not caused by this mass airflow sensor. Here's the second one that was replaced, and since the vehicle encountered an accident, the mass airflow sensor plastic got a little crack on it. That's why you see that repair. This is one I purchased to replace this one, since the vehicle was experiencing malfunction, all due to a improper oxygen sensor. The code that we have just established, P0132 and P0152, are identical, and as you can see from the scan tool, it specifies A/F sensor bank 1 and A/F sensor 1 bank 2. What we're concerned about is the A/F, which signify air-fuel ratio. Since both of these sensor 1 on the right side manifold and sensor 2 in the left side manifold is displaying a air-fuel ratio relating to the sensor, most likely the DTC code that we are establishing in the ECU is caused by a improper frequency or a intermittent mass airflow sensor, which means we're going to replace the mass airflow sensor that is currently in the vehicle by switching each one of these in and out to see which one performed the best and do not display a check engine light on the dashboard. Now you must also remember that code P0300, P0328, and P1163 are all related. The 300 is a random multiple cylinder misfire. The 1163 is oxygen sensor 1 in bank 2, which is related to P0152. P0328 is a NOx sensor code, and a NOx sensor code is most likely to be caused by the mass airflow sensor, the distributor, or also this mass airflow sensor, which is replaced. And if you take notice, it is a Hitachi of a similar frequency to the ones that I showed you before. Also, the oxygen sensor could display a P0300. Since that oxygen sensor was replaced brand new factory OEM Genuine Nissan, we are going to eliminate this sensor as a cause for the problem. Same thing for the left side manifold oxygen sensor. Since these two oxygen sensors are genuine Nissan OEM factory parts, we're going to eliminate both of these sensors as a diagnostic for the trouble code we're receiving. We're not going to remove these sensors. What I'm saying is that we're just going to ignore these sensors as the cause for setting the DTC code. The only solution now is to swap these mass airflow sensor with the others to eliminate the DTC code that is being displayed in the ECU on the scan tool. As for performance with the engine, there is no rough idling, no engine shut off during driving and stopping at a light. The only difference or issue is poor acceleration, robbing of power, or not being able to gain as much horsepower while at 50% to 60% throttle. Let's take a look and listen at starting the engine with our first sensor replacement. That is our part number and frequency. Hitachi Genuine Nissan OEM factory sensor. We want to verify that the mileage remains the same and the engine temperature is in a median location. Let's look at the RPM during our startup. We're going to take the vehicle for a test drive for another 30 to 40 miles to see if the check engine light is restored. So we are getting a vibration in the vehicle from this sensor change. Okay, with that sensor, you've driven less than a mile and the vehicle is sluggish in acceleration and just came to a shut off. So we're going to try and start it again. And if you do not have a check engine light, you can look at the RPM and see what's going on over there, how the RPM is jumping up and down, and the engine is shaking a lot. So this is something we really don't want. Let's check, see if we have a trouble code. The only code we have established so far is a knock sensor code P0328, and that's in the live scan and in the freeze frame. So we are going to reset the ECU and change out that mass airflow sensor. We are now going to try again to start the engine with a second mass airflow sensor. This is the one with the broken plastic, and this was an excellent working sensor when it was removed. Let's take a look. Engine temperature is within median. You want to look at the RPM. Vibration. We are now going to take this sensor for a test drive and see if the check engine light display. Okay, so the mileage is now about 10 miles, maybe 5 miles than what we had. But what I'm seeing now on the scan tool is P1143 and P1164. So that's oxygen sensor 1 in bank 2, that's the left side, and oxygen sensor 1 in bank 1. We're going to continue driving. The vehicle drives good. It does not shut off. It maintains idle. And let's see if we receive any other codes. Let's take a look at starting the vehicle with our fourth sensor swap. This sensor was removed from a salvage yard vehicle with 66,000 miles. It's a 2004 Nissan Frontier with a 3.3 4-speed automatic transmission, 4x2. So our vehicle calls for a 4x4 mass airflow sensor. Let's see if it makes a difference. Making sure that the engine temperature is in its median. Let's start. Look at the RPM. So we are also getting a vibration in the vehicle from this sensor. Let's take the vehicle for a test drive to see if the check engine light display itself. Continue driving. No check engine light. Looking at the mileage on the odometer. The vehicle exhibit a sluggish acceleration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change out that mass airflow sensor. So the vehicle has been driven for approximately 8 to 10 miles with the other sensor idling good, never shut off. Still lack of power on the acceleration. And these are codes we're getting. P0132 and P0138. Now I'm going to change out this mass airflow sensor for another mass airflow sensor. This is our last mass airflow sensor, and this one is a new aftermarket one. This is the last aftermarket new sensor that I written no good on at one time because it malfunctioned with those different oxygen sensor. Let's take a startup and see what happened. Let's go for a test drive and see if this sensor performs or fail. We have now returned to pit stop. with 198,912 miles. We have driven for approximately 20 to 25 miles with that new aftermarket mass airflow sensor. And as we can see, the check engine light is displayed on the dash, and we have added gasoline to the vehicle. We have also seen 2 codes, a total of 4. 2 of those codes are in the freeze frame, and 2 of them are in live data mode. Let's take a look at that. So we have P0133, P0132, sorry, and P0152, P0138, like I said, P0132, P0132, that's live data and freeze frame, P0152, and P0138. What this is telling us is that we are experiencing a malfunction with the mass airflow sensor, since we did not receive additional code like P0300 and P0328. We are now going to order a new mass airflow sensor from the dealer, Genuine Nissan OEM part, and replace that aftermarket mass airflow sensor. So during the course of driving, I took a stop at the AutoZone and purchased that mass airflow sensor for testing. By strategy and logistic, we have diagnosed our vehicle and see that it's required a mass airflow sensor after changing the oxygen sensor on bank 1 and bank 2. That will be the right side manifold and the left side manifold. The codes we are going to leave inside the ECU and continue driving to see if additional codes is recorded in the ECU for future reference. At this point, the mass airflow sensor show a better fuel mileage when compared to those used OEM mass airflow sensor that was tried for testing.